Texas becoming so persistent that homeowners there say they can't repair their homes fast enough. They say the violent tremors are happening almost daily now.
A powerful earthquake has struck the heart of Texas, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in its wake. Measuring as the strongest earthquake to ever hit the Lone Star State, this seismic event has forced massive evacuation. The massive quake has sent shockwaves far and wide, prompting an extraordinary emergency response. What could be the cause of this shocking environmental change? And could this be as a result of human activities? Stay tuned as we delve into the shocking details of this story as scientists evacuated Texas after the strongest earthquake ever hit Texas. On a regular Texas morning, Texas is experiencing a surge in earthquake activity, with homeowners struggling to keep up with repairs as violent tremors occur almost daily. It's a shocking turn of events because West Texas is an area not typically associated with significant earthquake activities. The quake's epicenter was focused on the small village of Hermel, causing shockwaves to reverberate throughout North Texas and Dallas. As residents reel from the unexpected event, experts are fascinated by the implications. Is this unusual occurrence a one-time anomaly, or does it signal more profound changes beneath the surface of the Lone Star State? So let's delve into the specifics of this remarkable earthquake activity. In West Texas, it was just another typical Friday morning until, at 9:30 a.m., something unusual happened, far from ordinary. There was a rumbling in the ground that shook the whole area with a magnitude of 5.1. This earthquake was not a small one. Rather, it was the strongest one ever recorded in this region of Texas. The small, peaceful community of Hermel, about 200 miles west of Fort Worth, was close to the epicenter of the earthquake. The pace of life in Hermel is often slower, but on this particular day, the ground shifted in a way that astonished locals and attracted notice from across the state. The quakes were so strong that they were felt throughout a large area, in addition to locally. People reported feeling the ground shift beneath their feet in North Texas and Dallas, among other distant locations. Certain structures wobbled and things fell off shelves, making a lot of noise. This was not a unique instance. So, what other times has this happened? And what are the authorities doing to fix this? Let's delve into that. The routine quakes. The region had seen many little tremors in the days preceding this major one, which made the people increasingly uneasy. A magnitude 4.9 earthquake had occurred earlier in the week, while one of magnitude 2.5 had occurred the day before. These minor earthquakes were a kind of prelude to the larger one that occurred that Friday morning. The combined effect of these earthquakes was surprising and disconcerting for many locals, as this region of Texas is not known for frequent seismic activity. This earthquake's scientific cause is fascinating, but how can we even determine its strength? The U.S. Geological Survey can help with that. They can measure seismic activity using sophisticated instruments and techniques. The magnitude, which indicates how much energy was produced during the earthquake, is measured using the Richter scale. A 5.1 magnitude is very noteworthy, particularly for a place like West Texas, where earthquakes aren't exactly known to happen often. It serves as a reminder that, although we may not constantly feel it, the Earth is always moving beneath us, and when we do, it may be somewhat startling. People's concerns. Following the 5.1 magnitude earthquake, numerous complaints of structural damage to homes in Hermel and surrounding areas surfaced. Broken windows, falling objects, and fractured walls were commonplace among occupants. Older buildings not constructed to withstand seismic activity were severely damaged structurally due to the quake's strength. To protect the safety of locals, local authorities quickly moved to evaluate the extent of the damage. When Scurry County officials declared a disaster, emergency management professionals swiftly mobilized crews to support locals. These crews conducted safety inspections of residences and public spaces, offering necessary assistance or repairs. Texas is not as well known as states like California for having significant seismic activity, but over the last 10 years, there has been a noticeable increase in earthquake frequency in the Permian Basin, the site of the recent 5.1 magnitude earthquake. This increase is often linked to oil and gas production operations, including hydraulic fracturing and wastewater injection. Although many small earthquakes in Texas go unreported, recent occurrences have raised awareness of the possibility of larger earthquakes and geological causes that may contribute to them. West Texas's geological terrain has old fault lines that may reactivate due to human activity. The effects of the earthquake brought attention to how vulnerable older buildings are, and they also emphasized the need for better building rules and construction methods in the area. The 5.1 magnitude earthquake fits into a larger trend where fluid injection procedures used in the oil and gas sector are frequently connected to seismic occurrences. Given the area's continued status as a center for energy production, there is significant attention on how these activities relate to seismic events. Despite the earthquake's severity, preliminary reports showed no major casualties or extensive damage. The past quake casualties. The possibility of infrastructure damage, however, continues to be a serious worry. Texas has had previous earthquakes that caused structural failures, especially in older buildings that were not built to withstand seismic energy. As an example of how vulnerable some constructions can be, the Robert B. Greene building in Bexar County was declared dangerous after a prior earthquake. In response to the recent 5.1 magnitude earthquake, the Texas Department of Emergency Management was instrumental in providing vital information to local governments and emergency personnel. Using information from the state's earthquake monitoring network, TexNet TDEM offered seismic data and analysis in real time. Determining the required response procedures and evaluating the impact of the earthquake were made possible in large part by this knowledge. Officials were able to determine the magnitude of the earthquake and make well-informed judgments on public safety and emergency response because of TexNet's data. Following the earthquake, TexNet kept an eye on seismic activity, detecting aftershocks and determining the likelihood of more seismic activity. The necessary precautions. To enable the public and local authorities to take the necessary precautions to ensure safety, continuous monitoring is crucial for alerting them to any changes in seismic activity. Officials and people alike benefit from the constant flow of information provided by TexNet in terms of situational awareness and readiness. The public was informed about safety in collaboration with local precautions and received alerts from TM emergency management authorities. Instructions on what to do in the event of an earthquake were included in these emails, including the necessity of remaining indoors and finding protection beneath substantial furniture to reduce fear and make sure that locals are aware of how to protect themselves during seismic events. Public safety communication is essential. TDM contributed to the community's sense of calm and preparedness by giving clear and simple instructions. Officials asked homeowners to prepare emergency kits and create family emergency plans in light of the heightened seismic activity. Making these measures is crucial to guaranteeing that households are equipped to react appropriately in the case of future earthquakes. Water, non-perishable food, flashlights, batteries, and first aid supplies are frequently found in emergency kits. Establishing a family emergency plan improves overall safety and coordination by ensuring that everyone knows what to do and where to go in an emergency. Community outreach initiatives were also arranged by local governments and emergency management personnel to inform the public about earthquake protection precautions. In a state where large earthquakes occur infrequently, This education is essential in making sure that citizens know how to safeguard their property and themselves. Public service announcements, educational booklets, and workshops were among the community engagement initiatives used to raise awareness and readiness. Emergency management experts and municipal authorities have re-evaluated preparedness procedures in response to the recent seismic incidents. They are pushing for stronger building regulations, the retrofitting of buildings that are at risk, and public awareness campaigns about earthquake safety. Since big earthquakes don't happen often in Texas, many locals may be unaware of the proper safety precautions. Thus, being prepared and educated is essential. More stringent construction standards laws are currently being considered by the Texas government. The history. Earlier in history, on July 30th, 1925, the Texas Panhandle felt a 5.4 magnitude earthquake. Though very modest, the damage consisted of shaking furniture and dishes. This earthquake served as a reminder that seismic activity might strike anywhere in the state. Often mentioned in conversations concerning seismic activity in East Texas is the Mexia-Wortham earthquake on May 6, 1932, with a magnitude of roughly 5. This earthquake was felt over a large area. Comparably, fluid removal from oil fields in the area was connected to the 1957 Gladewater earthquake with a magnitude of 5. This occurrence brought attention to the still relevant link between seismic activity and Texas's oil extraction methods. Officials from the local administration are currently thinking about revising the rules to make sure that newly built structures are more resilient to earthquakes. This involves modifying already existing structures to make them more earthquake-resistant in the future. In addition to becoming a popular topic of conversation around the water cooler, the recent earthquake has sparked a renewed interest in seismic activity and its connection to human activities such as oil extraction. The attention from scientists. This earthquake has also attracted scientific attention. Scholars are eager to learn more about the cause of it and whether human activities like fracking could be connected to it. In certain places, hydraulic fracturing, also known as fracking, has been connected to an increase in seismic activity. Fracking is the process of injecting liquid into subsurface rocks to recover oil or gas. Although there isn't a clear solution just yet, scientists are attentively examining data to hunt for patterns. Studying this topic is intriguing because if these earthquakes are caused by human activity, it may indicate that we have greater influence over averting them in the future. About 10 miles northeast of Hurley, Texas, was where the earthquake's epicenter was situated. Due to its close vicinity, Scurry County felt the strongest shaking, which had a substantial impact on the surrounding villages. There were noticeable tremors reported by the people in Snyder, which is near the epicenter. Local officials are systematically evaluating structural damage in both residential and commercial properties throughout the neighborhood. Although the full amount of the damage is still unknown, preliminary indications suggest that some buildings have structural problems that call for repairs and additional safety checks. About 100 miles from the epicenter in Ick, reports of feeling the tremor were also received. There were noticeable tremors felt by the residents of this city, suggesting that the seismic activity was widespread. Although the shaking was not as strong as it was in Snyder, it was still enough to worry the populace and make officials check vital infrastructure as a precaution. In a similar vein, people in San Angelo reported feeling the tremors of the earthquake. The experience of this city is indicative of the earthquake's extensive effects, which were felt far from the epicenter. In addition, the San Angelo local administration is acting to evaluate possible harm and guarantee the structural integrity of buildings and infrastructure. A 4.9 magnitude earthquake had occurred in Rotan, another location hit by the recent seismic activity, a few days before the 5.1 magnitude catastrophe. Concerns over the underlying geological conditions have been raised by the cluster of seismic activity that has been caused in West Texas by this series of events. Local authorities have increased their monitoring efforts in response to the frequent earthquakes, making sure that communities are ready for any future disasters. Speculative cause. The shallow depth of the earthquake, roughly 1.79 kilometers, probably played a role in the general feeling of shaking felt in these areas, even at farther distances from the epicenter. Shallow earthquakes are more perceptible to people because they often produce more surface shaking. This feature of the earthquake explains why, although being relatively far from the epicenter, places like Ick and San Angelo experienced vibrations. This earthquake was a remarkable event for a lot of the locals. Consider Abby Hagar, for example. She is used to earthquakes, having grown up in California, but this one in Texas was a little different. Rather than the rolling sensation she's become accustomed to from quakes out west, Abby characterized the sensation as more of an abrupt one. The administration moved quickly to respond, handle any potential damage, and guarantee public safety. Scurry County officials promptly declared a disaster. An earthquake of this size doesn't happen very often. Therefore, the authorities wanted to make sure that any infrastructure problems or structural damage was taken care of right away. The local emergency management teams were prepared to help with everything from supplying supplies for residents to assessing buildings for damage. They were on high alert to keep everyone informed and safe. There was a concerted effort regarding this earthquake. Specialists have some things to say. Southern Methodist University seismologist Brian Stump is one of the voices elucidating the significance of this incident. While magnitude 5 earthquakes are not unheard of in the United States, he claims that they are relatively uncommon in West Texas. This specific earthquake was notable not just for its magnitude, but also for being part of an uncommon sequence of tremors in the region. Everyone's thinking the same thing. What caused this earthquake? Within the scientific world, there's a growing disagreement regarding whether this earthquake was entirely natural or if human actions like hydraulic fracturing could have contributed. Although there isn't a clear solution just yet, scientists are attentively examining data to hunt for patterns. Studying this topic is intriguing because if these earthquakes are caused by human activity, it may indicate that we have greater influence over averting them in the future. It's critical to take into account how Texas monitors earthquakes such as this one. Monitoring and assessment. To monitor and assess earthquake activity, the state has put in place a fairly sophisticated seismic monitoring system. These monitoring programs are essential, particularly in areas like West Texas, where earthquakes are less frequent. For instance, the Texas Seismic Monitoring Network is made up of several seismic stations dispersed around the state. These stations have sophisticated equipment that can pick up even the slightest vibrations. Scientists can better comprehend an earthquake's properties, such as its magnitude, depth, and epicenter, thanks to the data that is gathered after it occurs. Looking ahead, there is a great deal of interest in conducting additional research to determine the causes of the most recent earthquake in the area, as well as others. Determining whether human endeavors, such as gas and oil extraction, could be causing seismic activity is one of the main goals. This entails not just reviewing historical data, but also carrying out fresh research to determine whether any particular activities are associated with elevated seismicity. In terms of mitigation techniques to reduce these hazards may be devised if it is found that specific practices are associated with earthquakes. Examples of such strategies include modifying the volume or pressure of injections used in fracking operations. Though it has seen its fair share of earthquakes over the years, Texas isn't often regarded as a seismic hotspot based on the historical viewpoint of this event. For example, in 1931, there was a significant earthquake in Valentine, Texas, with a magnitude of about 5.8. Before the most recent 5.1 earthquake, that was the largest earthquake in Texas history. Despite its lower magnitude, the recent earthquake is noteworthy because it is part of a cluster of activity in a region not often associated with regular earthquakes. What does this signify, then, for the area? There are various ramifications to think about. First, there's the infrastructural problem. Since it's not a typical worry in the region, many buildings and structures in West Texas aren't designed to survive large earthquakes. This earthquake acts as a warning to assess the structural soundness of vital infrastructure, including roads, buildings, and bridges. Aspects of public awareness are also present, particularly for those who are unfamiliar with earthquakes. Earthquakes can be unexpected and frightening. There's a good chance that this incident has raised awareness in the area regarding earthquake safety and readiness. It serves as a reminder that having plans for how to react is still crucial, especially in places where such incidents are uncommon. Small actions like developing a family emergency plan and locking up heavy items in the house can go a long way toward guaranteeing safety in the event of an earthquake. In the grand scheme of things, a deeper comprehension of these occurrences can assist in guiding public policy and safety precautions, which may result in stricter laws on operations like hydraulic fracturing if they are demonstrated to be associated with seismic activity. Ultimately, even though the earthquake was a noteworthy occurrence in and of itself, it also acted as a spark for further in-depth conversations and activities around safety and readiness. So, as further inquiries are made, what was discovered as the cause of these unusual events? What has human activities got to do with anything? The search for answers. In Texas, as everyone searches for explanations to comprehend this uncommon and significant event, scientific research is still ongoing. Knowing what caused these events and whether they were natural occurrences or something we did is important. It aids in improved preparation and may even lessen the risks brought on by earthquakes of this magnitude. As of this moment, scientific research is ongoing, and the community is still vigilant. Scientists and locals alike are concerned about the frequency and intensity of seismic activity in regions that are not typically recognized for earthquake activity. The latest earthquake that occurred in West Texas is part of a larger pattern that has been seen in other parts of the country and the globe. There is increasing conjecture on the possible correlation between human activity and earthquakes as a result of increased seismic activity in regions with substantial oil and gas extraction activities. This has led to more thorough monitoring and research efforts to identify the root causes and create risk reduction plans. In particular, fracking has drawn criticism for possibly causing seismic activity. To extract oil and gas, massive amounts of water, sand, and chemicals are injected under tremendous pressure into rock formations. This can cause earthquakes by changing the stress equilibrium in the Earth's crust. Studies have indicated that the dumping of wastewater from fracking activities, as well as other practices, may occasionally cause seismic activity. There have been calls for more controls and improved monitoring of fracking operations in response to the recent earthquake in West Texas, which has increased awareness of this issue. A great cause for concern. Beyond immediate safety issues, rising seismic activity has wider ramifications. Environmental and economic factors are also taken into account. Infrastructure can sustain major damage from earthquakes, necessitating expensive repairs and disruptions. They may also affect the local economy, especially in areas where businesses like oil and gas production are important. Concerns about the environment also stem from the possibility of fracking-related contamination of groundwater and other natural resources. These complex problems emphasize the necessity for a well-rounded strategy that takes into account the advantages and disadvantages of energy extraction methods. Accurately forecasting and comprehending seismic events is difficult, which makes it one of the main obstacles to solving these issues. Numerous variables such as natural tectonic movements, human activity, and geological conditions can cause earthquakes. Because of this, it is challenging to prove a direct causal relationship between particular actions and seismic occurrences. However, scientists are making great progress in this field thanks to developments in data analysis and technology. Better data gathering strategies, more complex modeling approaches, and enhanced seismic monitoring systems are all contributing to our understanding of the dynamics of earthquakes and their possible causes. Following the recent earthquake in West Texas, both short-term and long-term preparations have been implemented. Local government agencies have taken the initiative to evaluate and resolve the harm that the earthquake produced to guarantee the safety and structural integrity of vital infrastructure, including highways, bridges, and buildings. Emergency response teams have inspected them. Public awareness initiatives have been initiated to inform locals about safety precautions and how to prepare for an earthquake. By making these efforts, the community will be better equipped to withstand future seismic events, and the immediate effects of the earthquake will be minimized. So, are these measures going to be enough? What are the preventive measures put in place to avoid further disasters? Let's find out. Regulations to arrest. A downward spiral. As we move forward, it will become increasingly evident that stronger regulatory frameworks are required to control the hazards posed by seismically active activities like fracking. This includes tighter regulations on injection pressure and volume, more thorough seismic activity monitoring, and more stringent operator reporting requirements. Authorities can better control possible hazards and guarantee that energy extraction activities are carried out sustainably and safely by putting certain precautions into place. The latest seismic activity in West Texas has also incited a more extensive discourse about energy regulations and sustainability. Fossil fuels' place in our energy mix is a topic of continuous discussion as the globe struggles with the effects of climate change and the switch to renewable energy. Fracking has helped the U.S. become less dependent on foreign oil and increase energy independence, but it has also sparked worries about environmental sustainability and public safety. Calls have been made for a more balanced and diverse energy policy that places more of an emphasis on renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. The West Texas earthquake serves as a reminder in this regard of the importance of carefully weighing the benefits and drawbacks of various energy sources. It emphasizes how crucial it is to approach energy extraction and production holistically, taking into account the financial, environmental, and safety implications. Policymakers can create plans that advance environmental sustainability and energy security by encouraging a fair and well-informed discussion. The scientific community is still vital to the advancement of our knowledge about earthquakes and their causes. The goal of ongoing research is to understand the intricate relationships that exist between seismic activity caused by humans and the natural world. This entails researching the geological features of various locations, evaluating seismic information, and carrying out controlled tests to mimic the results of fracking and other operations. These initiatives are critical for creating prediction models that are more accurate and for figuring out mitigating tactics that work. It is also essential that scientists, industry stakeholders, and regulatory agencies work together. Together, these groups can address the difficulties brought on by seismic activity by exchanging best practices, resources, and information. This cooperative approach may result in the creation of novel solutions that improve security, reduce their negative effects on the environment, and guarantee the prudent use of natural resources. It is urgent to put policies in place that can lower the danger of further seismic events. Further measures. While the West Texas earthquake investigation is ongoing, this entails improving seismic monitoring systems, carrying out in-depth risk analyses, and encouraging openness in reporting and data exchange. Building a more knowledgeable and resilient community that is better able to manage the difficulties presented by earthquakes requires taking some crucial actions. The community in West Texas has been greatly impacted by the recent earthquake, which has also brought up significant issues regarding the connection between seismic activity and human activity. It has brought attention to the necessity of thorough investigation, strong legislative frameworks, and preemptive steps to control the hazards related to energy extraction methods. Moving forward, we must strike a balance between the advantages of energy production and the necessity of maintaining environmental sustainability and public safety. Through promoting responsible activities, increasing scientific understanding, and encouraging teamwork, we may effectively manage the intricacies of seismic activity and create a more secure and resilient future. Local communities have shown incredible resiliency and unity in the wake of the earthquake. The locals have banded together to help one another, lending support, knowledge, and resources. Local groups and community centers have been instrumental in delivering relief and making sure that individuals impacted by the earthquake get the assistance they require. This feeling of camaraderie among the people of West Texas is evidence of their fortitude and resilience. Discussions regarding the necessity of better building codes and construction techniques in areas that may be susceptible to earthquake activity have also been sparked by the earthquake. Even though earthquakes are not typically associated with West Texas, this incident has highlighted the significance of being ready for unforeseen natural disasters. Incorporating seismic risk considerations into building rules helps guarantee that structures are engineered and constructed to endure the forces produced by seismic activity. By doing this, the possibility of damage may be greatly decreased and resident safety can be improved. Additionally, educational campaigns are being started to increase public understanding of earthquake preparedness. Workshops and training sessions are being arranged by local government organizations, schools, and community centers to inform the public about what to do in the event of an earthquake. The significance of having emergency preparations in place, being aware of how to protect household objects, and comprehending the fundamentals of earthquake safety are all emphasized by these campaigns. Through the provision of information and preparedness tactics, these initiatives can lessen the effects of potential seismic disasters on the local population. From here on, what could be done to reduce the impact of certain energy extraction methods? The West Texas earthquake, what lessons could be learned around the world concerning the planet's dynamic and interconnected nature? Let's dig into that. The negative socio-economic and environmental effects of energy extraction methods. The recent earthquake in West Texas has sparked a crucial conversation about the unintended consequences of energy extraction methods, highlighting the need for a comprehensive approach that weighs the benefits and drawbacks of techniques like fracking. This includes exploring alternative energy sources, investing in renewable energy technologies, and promoting energy-efficient practices. By reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and diversifying our energy mix, we can create a more sustainable and resilient energy future. In addition to addressing the immediate and long-term effects of the earthquake, enhancing the resilience of critical infrastructure is a key priority. This encompasses utilities, communication networks, structures, and roadways, all of which must be able to withstand seismic events and maintain functionality after a disaster. Investing in infrastructure resilience enables communities to recover more quickly and effectively from earthquakes and other natural disasters. As researchers investigate the causes of the West Texas earthquake, they are examining geological features, seismic data, and potential links between fracking operations and seismic activity. By advancing our understanding of these complex relationships, scientists can develop more accurate models and forecasting tools to inform risk assessments and mitigation strategies. Ultimately, the West Texas earthquake serves as a powerful reminder of our planet's dynamic and interconnected nature. It underscores the importance of preparedness, ongoing research, collaboration, and proactive measures to ensure environmental sustainability and public safety in the face of unexpected natural disasters and future seismic events. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also check out another interesting video by clicking on the video shown on your screen. See you on the other side.